It was a big day for those New York Mets. Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Wednesday, July 26th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Scott White, and let's talk about the New York Mets. And we'll start things off with Pete Alonso, who needed to get back on track, and he did exactly that in Yankee Stadium. Went 3 for 4 with a double dong, 5 RBI, and we needed that in a big way. He's only batting .218 now on the season, but does have those 28 home runs. Scott, Pete Alonso has just been struggling so mightily since coming off the IL. Hopefully, this is a sign of things that can come over the final 2 months of the season.
Yeah, he had that bone bruise in the wrist that initially they said he needed X number of weeks to come back from, and they brought him back so soon that it wasn't altogether surprising that he struggled like he did, but hopefully now enough time has elapsed that he's back to being Pete Alonso again. Both of his home runs were hit over 108 miles per hour, one almost 110 miles per hour, and in his last let's see, how many games is it? In Pete Alonso's last 4 games, 8 for 15 with 2 homers, a triple, and 2 doubles. I think he's back.
All right, yeah, definitely could use Pete Alonso. Justin Verlander has also pitched well recently, has a quality start in 4 of his past 5 outings. He threw 6 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts, 14 swinging strikes on 98 pitches, and over his last 6 starts, he has a 1.46 ERA, a 1.05 WHIP, nearly a strikeout per inning. Scott, I know we've lowered Justin Verlander in the rankings. I don't think he's going to return the value that we thought coming in. He's not that SP1, but I think this recent stretch has been productive. And, I like what we're seeing here from Justin Verlander.
Yeah, and he's still a quality option in fantasy. I think I think one of the stories of 2023 is that just when a pitcher lulls you into thinking he's consistent, he goes and has a blow-up outing where he gets up 6 or 8 runs. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's right around the corner for Verlander, given that he's not the strikeout pitcher he used to be, not even averaging a strikeout per inning. That doesn't mean you need to discard him when that happens. I mean, how many pitchers has that happened to this year? But it does mean that he is more of a mid-tier pitcher than not, and you should treat him accordingly.
Let's talk about 3 obscure waiver wire hitters who had big games on Tuesday. Will Benson went 1 for 3 with his 7th home run, and since being recalled back in May, Will Benson is batting .325 with 7 homers, 10 steals, and an OPS up over 1,000. He's 30% rostered. Scott, do we just leave Will Benson for 5 outfielder leagues for now, or do you think maybe he has graduated to some shallower formats?
I think you could at least think about him in some 3 outfielder formats. Now, key is how much he plays against left-handers, because he's a left-handed batter. Obviously, the Reds have a log jam there, both in the infield and outfield, that might encourage them to keep sitting Benson against left-handers. But he started against 2 of the last 3 they faced. He's been so good that they're beginning to at least introduce him to left-handed pitchers and factor in speed, a little bit of power, those incredible on-base skills. Is kind of the complete package right now, is Will Benson, and a great lineup, no less. I do think some regression is due. His strikeout rate is kind of high, and it was high throughout his minor league career. But he's, a multifaceted player who I think could contribute in a lot of leagues if he gets the at-bats.
2 names in deeper leagues. Bo Naylor went 2 for 3 with a double dong for the Cleveland Guardians. And the problem there, he's not really playing much, but he does have some prospect pedigree. Nice to see this big game out of him. Cade Marlowe has been playing recently for the Seattle Mariners. He went 2 for 3 with his first career home run and his 2nd stolen base. Again, names for deeper league, Scott, but any enthusiasm here for Bo Naylor or Cade Marlowe?
They're both very much wait and see for me. The playing time just hasn't been there. Since getting called up, Cade Marlowe has started 3 times in 6 games. He did have a big 2022 season between double and triple A, hit 287, 23 homers, 42 steals, came on late, especially. The numbers in his return to triple A this year, not as great, but there's speed, there's power. There's a chance he could be useful. He has to get the playing time, though. It has to be more consistent than it's been so far. So let's see that change, and then we can talk about how good Cade Marlowe is, as we've seen with the Reds. Who was the Reds outfielder we're talking about?
Will Benson.
Will Benson. Yeah, as we've seen with Will Benson, you can get a lot of production from a player like this before you have to worry about picking him up in fantasy when there are questions about playing time. And with Bo Naylor, same thing. Started only 4 of the last 9 games for the Guardians. Hopefully that changes as he produces like he did in this one. Certainly he's their highest upside catching option. But until it changes, it's hard to get too excited about him, even in 2-catcher leagues.
All right, wait and see here on Bo Naylor and Cade Marlowe. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.